President Trump has just given an interview to the Rupert Murdoch-owned British newspaper The Sun, in which he has confessed that the Trump blimp really works. The Trump blimp has really done its job. It has made Donald Trump feel unwelcome. In his interview with The Sun, President Trump said, "I guess when they put out blimps to make me feel unwelcome, no reason for me to go to London. I used to love London as a city. I haven't been there in a long time. But when they make you feel unwelcome, why would I stay there?" It has never occurred to Donald Trump to wonder why they are making him feel unwelcome. Why don't they like Donald Trump? That doesn't seem to have crossed his mind. One thing the British are not going to like is the President of the United States meddling in their national affairs and in their national politics. And in the interview, Donald Trump claims that he knows how to do the impossible, negotiate a simple Brexit deal, which will allow the United Kingdom to leave the European Union painlessly.
I would have done it much differently. I actually told Theresa May how to do it, but she didn't agree with it. She didn't listen to me.
What did you say?
She didn't listen. No, I told her how to do it. That will be up to her to say. But I told her how to do it. She wanted to go a different route.
And the President of the United States endorsed a rival of the current Prime Minister, Theresa May, to take her job as Prime Minister. Boris Johnson is a big Brexit cheerleader who has no idea how to carry out Brexit, and so he quit as Theresa May's Foreign Secretary this week.
I think he's a great representative for your country. Well, I'm not pitting one against the other. I'm just saying I think he'd be a great Prime Minister, yeah. I think he's got what it takes, and I think he's got the right attitude to be a great Prime Minister.
In an editorial about Boris Johnson's resignation entitled "Good Riddance, Boris Johnson," the New York Times detailed some of the lies that Boris Johnson told British voters that convinced them to vote for Brexit without any details of how it would actually work. And President Trump not only demonstrated a complete ignorance of how Brexit might work in this interview, he told the single craziest lie he has ever told about the American economy.
The GDP, since I've taken over, has doubled and tripled.
Donald Trump clearly has no idea what GDP is. Gross domestic product is the basic dollar measurement of the size of a country's entire economy. Donald Trump is claiming that the size of the American economy has doubled and tripled in the first year and a half of his presidency. It takes 20 years for the GDP to double and 30 years for the GDP to triple. That's if things are going well. Joining us now is Brian Klaas, a fellow in global politics at the London School of Economics and the co-author of How to Rig an Election. And Eugene Robinson is still with us. And Brian, I want to, before we move on, I just want you to hear one more thing that President Trump said. He doesn't seem to understand why we don't use the word England anymore when we're talking about the United Kingdom. Let's listen to this.
You don't hear the word England as much as you should. I miss the name England. You understand that? I miss the name England. I think England is a beautiful name, and you don't hear it very much anymore.
Brian, do you want to explain to the President of the United States what happened to England?
Well, it's the Act of Union several hundred years ago in which several countries became the United Kingdom. So England still exists. It's just part of the UK. This entire interview is either insane, insulting, or incendiary. It's insane when he talks about having better poll numbers than Abe Lincoln 7 decades before polling existed. It's insulting when he attacks our closest ally, when her government is already on a cliff's edge and he's giving her a bully's shove towards it. And it's incendiary because the special relationship is now at risk. And this is America's most powerful and important ally. And Trump is insulting them during the state visit, during the visit that has been long in the making. And it's incredibly, incredibly damaging to American security interests, and it just adds on to the international security damage that he did in Brussels in attacking NATO in the past couple days, too.
Gene, who else could insult Theresa May and Abraham Lincoln in the same interview? He said about the polling, he said, you know, a poll just came out that I am the most popular person in the history of the Republican Party, 92%. Beating Lincoln, I beat our honest Abe. He then went on in that discussion of the polling to say if they did an honest poll in the United Kingdom that he would do very well. well. The Honest poll shows that in the United Kingdom, Donald Trump has an 11% approval rating, 11%, 67% disapproval rating, and Donald Trump living in his own polling bubble there.
Right, hence the blimp, I think. But, Theresa May is not the most sympathetic figure. It really just the way she became prime minister, the way she has tried to walk this unwalkable path on Brexit. So I don't feel very sorry for her, but I do feel sorry for her today because she goes to all this trouble. She invites this incredibly unpopular man, the president, because he's president, to Britain. She has to make a big deal of it. It's not a state visit, but takes him out to Blenheim Palace and convinces the Queen to have tea with him, which I'm sure she was delighted to do. And she goes through all of this, and then he just shivs her in the most sort of vicious way. Not only by saying that Boris would be a great prime minister, which he certainly would not, but also by saying that with her way of doing Brexit, which people don't actually like, but her way of doing Brexit, there will be no great U.S.-UK bilateral trade deal, that wouldn't work out. That's the only thing she has going for her. That's the only piece of sort of political capital that she had to try to negotiate this thing her way. And he just pulled that rug completely out from under her. It's just extraordinary. Never seen anything like it.
Brian, will British politics be affected by what the president has to say? And are people in Britain going to believe that Donald Trump has a secret Brexit plan that is easy and simple, and that he's just going to keep it a secret and let the British government struggle and try to figure out how to do what apparently is virtually impossible?
Well, I think 11% of people might. But, you have a situation here where the British government and the British political system is going to be roiled by this completely. There's already a challenge, potential challenge to Theresa May's leadership, several resignations, and Donald Trump just made that way, way worse for her. Now, to think about this in context, a British woman died last weekend from a Russian nerve agent poisoning on British soil after an attempted assassination attempt, right? So at that pivotal moment, Donald Trump is trying to push the British government off a cliff into complete disarray. It's our closest, most important ally. 74 years ago in June, we had D-Day, where we worked and fought together with Britain to defeat dictatorial fascism in Europe. And now we have a U.S. president who is not just praising adversarial dictators of the United States, but imposing tariffs on our closest allies and attacking the government of the United Kingdom. It's just amazing reversal. And it's so counterproductive to American interests and to the interests of international security. It is, however, extremely productive for the wish list of Vladimir Putin. And this is effectively the through line of the last several days into Helsinki, is that everything on Putin's wish list is happening because of Donald Trump. What he's wanted for 2 decades is finally coming to fruition, and that should scare people who care about the idea of the West, our values, and also international security that holds the West together and keeps us all safe.
Gene Robinson, imagine, if you will, Donald Trump's reaction if Theresa May were to come to the United States and in Washington say that she thinks Elizabeth Warren would make a great president, or she thinks Paul Ryan someday soon would make a great president. President Trump would think that was fair comment?
No, he would go totally ballistic. You know exactly what his reaction would be. It's again, I haven't seen anything like that. If you read that whole interview, I really sort of recommend people who have strong stomachs read the whole thing. There's a lot else in it, including just some incredible racism. He rails about how Europe is overrun with these immigrants, and you're losing your culture, and you're and it's really extraordinary. It's Trump sort of unplugged.
And why don't they call Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England just plain old England anymore? Yes. Brian Klaas, Eugene Robinson, thank you both very much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on the button below for more from The Last Word and the rest of MSNBC.